Welcome everyone to the Undercover Brony Reviews. The episode reviewed today will be The Big Mac Question, written by Josh Haber and Michael Vogel.
So this episode brings one of the most meta, jokes / references in the entire fucking saga of this show. And holy fuck, I was laughing so hard.
It also canonizes, well, one was already canonized, but one ship gets canonized. One ship, which was Mac and Sugar Bell, was already sailing, but it has docked to port, and then one ship it sank. Which one was it? Find out today on What Culture, Game Theory, whatever the youths watch these days. So this was an episode,
fellow kids.
So, hello, fellow worm babies. Okay, so
God, it reminded me of that back in 2016 when Hillary Clinton put that. Well, people need a Pokemon go to the polls. That was so fucking stupid, but it was fantastic.
That video gave me AIDS. Okay, so this is an episode that. So I watched this episode today, right? And sometimes I'll watch episodes and they'll just fly by, even if a lot of stuff's happening, just kind of flies by. There was so much happening in this episode. There were so many moving parts going on concurrently that by minute 8 I thought I was at the 20-minute mark, but I'm like, oh my god. And I don't mean in a bad way either. There's just
it wasn't dragging or anything.
Yeah, there was just a lot of parts because they kind of did. What was that one episode they did? Not PPOV, but they did one where it was like Pinkie Pie and Rarity and a few other poses. They were talking at a diner or something.
Yeah, that was the Rarity for You episode.
Okay.
Where they Martin Scorsese that fucking movie. And I thought that was the case here.
Yeah,
but it turns out it's not.
They kind of Tarantino'd it and
Tarantino. Why was I thinking Scorsese?
Yeah, they kind of Tarantino'd it here where you think it's the present that they're talking, but they're actually in the future talking about the past because, as it turns out, the future was the present all along. Because they started doing those reality shows you see everywhere, the garbage ones, the ones that people also like to watch for the memes, where it's it starts off with them talking at the camera, not unlike this, except not split screened, and you've got two neckbeards talking to each other.
15 frames per second or whatever.
And there also wasn't a Eddie Guerrero Memorial Hot Wheels car in the background, barely visible. So
wasn't a bunch of pony pictures and a Zelda standee and
hold on. Maybe I can change my camera because I've got stuff in here too. Let me you can barely see my statues right there. Cause see, people, I got stuff too, but they're they're a bunch of see that's a Maleficent statue next to a Maleficent statue, next to a Dragon Maleficent statue, next to a Davy Jones, and I put Kylo Ren up there because I'm like, hey, he's Disney technically, and then there's Pirates of the Caribbean. I've got cool stuff too, except see that Beatles poster? That's not a Beatles poster. Man, my room is messy. Anyway, so as I was saying, this episode had a lot of moving parts. It never dragged. And this is one of the funnier episodes I can remember in recent memory. This is one of my favorite Discord episodes out of the 12 he's starred in. I could say that confidently. Everyone played their parts, and they played them well. So speaking of moving parts, let's make a well-oiled machine. And so the episode starts off
with it.
So the episode starts off with Spike being like, yeah, this is how it all happened, basically. And then we cut the Sweet Apple Lakers, and Big Mac is planning to put together his proposal for Sugar Belle, his sweetheart. And there was one thing about this episode that was extremely noteworthy, and it was actually cool. Big Mac was allowed to talk.
And also, I
It's the
love.
last episode, and he finally gets to talk again regularly, except for that one flashback episode. Yeah, thanks, DHX.
Yep. And one thing I really love is also the fact that Spike is basically guessing everything that's happening, or that's gonna happen. Like they're gonna plant apples, and she's gonna make her way to the hill on Sweet Apple Acres, and he made the bench like a replica of what she has in her shop, which is cool. And Discord's like, how in the heck do you know about all this? He's just like, dude, it's because I'm a hopeless romantic. We gotta tell. And
What Spike should have said was, because Discord, I'm a freaking lady killer.
well, I'll tell you this. I looked over to my wife at that point, and I'm like, yeah, that makes so much sense because both me and her are hopeless romantics. So it's like, so we can relate. But
I wouldn't say I'm a hopeless romantic, but I like the warm and fuzzies. That's what I'd say.
yeah,
I like my warm and fuzzies with a hint of a deconstructive edge, which is probably why I like Metal Gear so much. So Big Mac is like, and it's kind of neat too, because what was he gonna build her? He was gonna build her something.
It was like a picnic table or something.
It was a picnic table with the same stuff he used to build her cart.
No. Her
shelf.
Her shop.
Yeah. And so, and basically what he says is, I'm old. So basically what he says is he's doing that, but he's got all these apples, and on the apples are little tags written in their horse language, which I think I've heard once or twice be referred to as pone-ish.
Yeah.
And
they couldn't have gone for equestrian. That would have been
no, because that would imply that the whole world speaks one language. We have Saudi Arabia and we have other places too. So I guess pone-ish is the language read only by ponies. Maybe
so, like,
do the Griffins have their own language?
Yeah, the pony version of English, basically.
Mm-hmm. So has all the apples, right? And on the apples are written in pone-ish, are poems. He basically, didn't he say something like, well, I don't really use my words much, so I wanted to tell her in as many words as possible. No, Sugar Belle said that. And no, I'm sorry. On each one's a riddle that will eventually lead her, that puts her on the path to a scavenger hunt that will eventually put her at the hilltop of Sweet Apple Acres, where he can then just be like, well, I was thinking, do you want to get hitched, raise a family, 2.5 kids, and by the time they're 6 years old, we can put them to work? And
I love
maybe that was just my grandfather.
I love how also one thing, and I promise we're getting further into the episode. Don't worry, but yeah, because like Snakeskin said, this episode is just so densely packed with stuff. One thing I love about Discord is the fact that they basically say, yeah, you're a fucking blabbermouth. And then he starts blabbing about stuff. And the ship that sank is where Octavia went on a date with Bulk Bicep.
Okay, I'm sorry. Who? When? Octavia and Bulk Biceps. That has never been seen, heard from, alluded to at all.
Now, I gotta say,
I was very unconvinced that was a brewing relationship. I honestly thought they would try to do a Bulk Biceps and Fluttershy thing, but no, it had to be Octavia.
So, this is something that I brought to Snakeskin before we started recording them, and I think it bears repeating. So Discord says that it's a very odd couple, but I gotta wonder, with Octavia being able to bring out wicked power ballads on her cello, and both biceps being naturally strong or on steroids or something, which I gotta wonder, does the clop community think that his balls are shrunk or something? I guess.
Well, from what I've read, look, all I'm gonna say is he either like this or he like this.
Yeah. So I gotta wonder, if she could do power ballads and he's naturally strong, does that mean they're a power couple?
All I'll tell you is this. To add to your thing, yes, because Octavia's homies with Vinyl, who's, planet renowned or whatever. Both Biceps is homies with the main six, and he's not a Wonderbolt, but he's friends with most of them, so they got a lot of connections. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they're going to start the first Equestrian Mafia, but they basically could, and that is a fan fiction I want to read, about how both Biceps and Octavia become total crime lords. That's the only way I'll be okay with them killing Octoscratch, which you could argue was the most popular ship in the show that didn't involve the main six, besides another one, which we'll get to in about 4 minutes of screen time.
You know what? Either have it where they write a fan fiction about them starting the Mafia, or just make a mod for Saints Row. I mean, that's right for it.
Bro, I don't need the visual of going around Saints Row as like a pony and tricking out my lowrider, okay? So, yeah, needless to say, they don't trust Discord, but he wants to help anyway. So Big Mac tells him, go into town and place the notes.
After screaming, by the way.
Yeah.
Big Mac is going to propose to Sugar Bell.
Sugar Bell, Sugar Bell, Sugar Bell. It echoes throughout the town. We get the title card. Wait, that's the credits. So
there's a bunch of people that are just a bunch of ponies that are just like, the fuck was that?
So I thought that was gonna tie in to the ending, because the whole thing is Sugar Bell's making Mrs. Cake rush to do all this. So it almost felt like it was a last minute thing. So I thought maybe she heard Discord scream, and she's like, "No, I wanted to propose to Big Mac." So then she told Mrs. Cake, "We got to do this ahead of time. Bust out them cakes, brah." So you come back from the title, and Spike and Discord have a map. Big Mac marked locations he wanted the apples to go, because it was going to dictate the flow of the scavenger hunt. Mm-hmm. Well, Spike, I forget why they split up, but basically Discord is the one solely in charge of putting the apples in place. They meet up later, and Spike's like, "Did you put the apples in the right place?" He's like, "Yeah." Spike's like, and Discord's like, "Probably. Okay, I'll go check."
It's basically an OU meme.
Yeah. And then this is the point where, correct me if I'm wrong, is it not here? Oh, and there's cuts of Spike and Discord trying to explain their side of the story throughout, and they're pretty funny. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this not where Discord and Spike accidentally run into Sugar Bell, because she comes out of a store?
Yeah, she's running
one
with
of the apples
CMC with a pie.
Mm-hmm.
Or the CMC are running with a pie and she's chasing after them, which you find out why later. And I love how it kind of connects into itself.
Yes. So
not quite MCU territory, but it's close.
So Sugar Bell and the CMC run out the door, and Discord notices that they drop one of the apples, and Spike's like, crap, she didn't most the apple. Discord. We gotta put it somewhere else. And Discord is actually just like the sensible. He's like, why don't we just give it to her? And Spike's like, that's not romantic. And then he says something to the effect of, well, to be honest with you, she can't notice a big shiny apple with some writing on it. Maybe she doesn't deserve to read it. And I was just like, you know, he said something like that. I can't remember. So then Discord comes up with the idea. He's like, well, why try to give them to her and she read them when they can just tell her? So he enchants all the apples.
Now, this is also right after he tries putting the apple right in fucking front of her, and she doesn't fucking notice it. So I get why this would be the next logical step for Discord.
For him, yes. So he instructs them, go
in a military uniform, nonetheless.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, okay, that's hilarious.
Some privates, y'all have a job, and y'all know where you need to go. So go and be proud.
Yeah, he was just like, find Sugar Belle, relay the message, and they're just like, yes, sir.
And I love the little noises that the apples make. And honestly, I could tell that with them opening their mouths, you could tell the apples were a little rotten, probably because Discord enchanted them.
He made them rotten. Not just as apples, but as people.
Yeah.
So they're running around. It's here we cut to Sugar Belle talking to Mrs. Cake because and the CMC are with her because they want to help her out because she's because Mrs. Cake is making like 22 pies or pastries or whatever, because in each pie is a word.
It's like, I love you, Big Mac. Will you marry me? Yup, or something like that.
I don't know. I just saw there was like 22. There was 21 words. So Mrs. Cake had to bake 21 pies, and Sugar Belle says something like, you know, Big Mac's not a big talker. So I wanted to ask him in a way that was appropriate for him. One word at a time. She didn't say that, but that's basically what it was.
You know what? The sad part is now my brain can't stop hearing 21 guns. 21 guns.
I heard enough of that. Yes, I heard enough about that when that freaking album came out. No. That was one thing. What I heard way too much of was, do you know you're ready? Do you know you're ready? Do you know you're... I'm like, bro, this isn't Basket Case. Take it off the radio.
I think one of the best old songs from him was, what's that one? Do you have the time to listen to me whine?
That's all I just said.
About nothing and everything all at once.
I'll do that whole song right now.
Except I don't give myself the creeps.
Snare roll, pick slide. Anyway, so Sugar Belle. And can I just say, I don't care how unmasculine or hetero this makes me look or sound. Can I just say, this whole thing with Big Mac and Sugar Belle is legitimately extremely adorable and precious and wholesome, and I loved it throughout the whole episode. It was so cute. I found myself unconsciously smiling, and honestly, and I caught myself. I'm like, God, what am I in an anime? So I love this. Unfortunately, Mrs. Cake looked like she was going to lose her mind. Where was Mr. Cake?
I don't know.
Mr. Cake probably...
Pinkie Pie.
Mr. Cake probably found himself a... Wait a minute. I almost said pie, but that could have gone 3 different ways.
Knowing the Cloppers, it'll go all 3 different ways.
My point is, she wants to die, but Sugar Belle's so nice. She even says, how can you turn down such a request? Mrs. Cake does. And 10 years have gone past, and I just now realized we never learned the Cakes' first names. And
Chiffon Swirl. So it's Chiffon Cake.
Wait,
is
what?
Mrs. Cake. Did you not remember from Perfect Pair, she was known as Chiffon Swirl before she married Mr. Cake.
So who was he?
I don't know.
I'm gonna call him Bill. So
Bill Cake.
yeah, he's gonna invent a video game for the Xpone called Donut.
You know what? Knowing that I wonder when Mr. and Mrs. Cake were dating, if his name was really Bob. Just imagine, or Bill, or whatever you said. I could just imagine her saying that he was her boo, so that it would be like, I'm Boo Cake.
What is wrong with you? So anyway,
I think everything.
So they leave here, and correct me if I'm wrong. This is where the apples start going crazy, right?
Yes. They start terrorizing the town,
and then this is when a ship gets canonized, because there's a part where in the background, and hey, wait a minute, John, you edit these things now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yo, Barry, superimpose that gif of Lyra proposing to Bon Bon, but Bon Bon poses to Lyra in the background, and it's like the greatest thing ever, right?
Uh-huh.
I was so stoked. It actually made me forgive him for killing Octoscratch. I read every freaking stupid chapter of University Days and the fan-made spin-offs. And, well, not everyone. But still, I was just like, man, screw Fallout Equestria. This is real long-term FIM storytelling.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, so that happened, and that happened.
They're not best friends anymore. Just like, God damn it, John.
I'm remembering that whole scene. I remember that whole stupid scene. My name is actually Agent Sweetie Drops. What? And she's like, "You're my best friend." She just jumps out the window. Oh man, that was such a great episode. That was such a great episode. Anyway, so that's happening, and the apples do this thing where they like it's like Katamari. They like jump together and they become this big giant thing.
Yeah, and it makes sense with Discord enchanting them that they would do that because I feel like in some respects, you know how like with like Fairly Odd Parents logic with the genie, you have to be very specific.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's Discord in a way where like if you're not specific enough, if he's not specific enough with his magic, it'll just turn more and more chaotic.
Oh yeah, no, that's exactly. Discord operates entirely on that genie magic. The difference is that you can make an argument that Discord is a genie if a genie had free will. He's like Norm the Genie if he wasn't imprisoned, or he's like Disney's genie if he wasn't wasn't a cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's very that's always been interesting to me about genie magic. It's not really dark magic, but it's certainly not light magic. It's like this weird in the middle. It's the gray lightsaber of magics. Yeah. It's like it's kind of.
There is no light side. There is no dark side. There is the Force.
It's almost like a mixture of red and blue magic, because like blue magic, it's everything, but like red magic, it can be supportive and destructive. So it's like genie magic is cool.
Just say you're going the full on like neutral route in Infamous or something.
No, because then the game literally stops. They're just like, hey, you need to do more evil or good actions, guy. And it's like, fine, I'll conform to your arbitrary good versus evil systems. So anyway.
That was a fun game, though.
Oh, no, those two games were great. Well, the one on the PS4 wasn't too bad, but I don't think they're going to continue the franchise. Anyway.
Yeah.
So they keep going. And the apples are getting crazy. Eventually, it all leads to them all meeting outside the Cake's house, where they're just like, wait. You said so it was you. because there's this everyone wants to like this because the Kingdom Crusaders, their whole thing is they want to reform. For the last 2 times they almost screwed up Big Mac's relationship with Sugar Belle.
Mhm.
Spike and Discord just want to be bros and help out Mac, and Mrs. Cake is just like, guys, I just want to do my job. I have kids. I have 2 kids, please. And the Apple Kaiju shows up, and Discord's just like, oh, my bad. And then
yeah,
like,
and I love how the apple literally gets over and is screaming or like moaning, Sugar Belle, Sugar Belle.
yeah, it's screaming.
Me.
It's screaming Big Mac's poetry at her. It's great. So, Sugar Belle and Big Mac sneak off. And then for the last 3 minutes of this episode, I thought I was put into another episode because the mood is very calm, very serene, very, just peaceful. They're at Sweet Apple Lakers, and Big Mac's like, I'm sorry, Sugar Belle. I wanted this to go perfect, but it just couldn't. And she's like, oh, Big Mac, it's fine. You're fine. We're fine. It's all fine. And then they go to the gosh dang tree, the perfect pear tree.
The tree?
The tree? So they go to the tree that Applejack, Big Mac, and Apple Bloom's parents planted decades ago. And they they had this nice heart-to-heart, and then in front of the tree they propose to each other at the same time. They both say yes, and everyone's like, dude, I'm stoked, let's party.
And it's while the sun is peeking through the fucking tree and everything. And one other thing I have to mention, there's a point where the CMC are trying to find Big Mac, and they go talk to Granny. And
oh god, that's right.
I said that this entire series has not had a joke that is more meta, more funny, more of a reference than anything in the fucking show. Granny Smith says, I was having a dream where me and Grandpere were venturing out into space, the final frontier, or something to that effect. I'm just like, I was laughing my ass off so hard at that because it makes sense when you know that Grandpere is voiced by William Shatner. So it's like, oh my god, that is like 3 levels of meta, and it's just funny as hell.
I showed that joke to my dad, and he's a big Trekkie, and he thought that was really funny. That was great. So then it cuts to the present, which was actually the future the whole time.
Wow.
And I told John before we started recording, I said, okay, I expected them to they propose, they say yes, whatever. And then, we wouldn't see them get married or nothing or something like that. They would just it'd be a thing that they left alone until the epilogue. Maybe they show up somewhere with a kid or 2 or something. No, you see the wedding and they give it a good 2 minutes of screen time.
Which, by the way, everyone is dressed so awesomely here. Like, yes. Applejack looks amazing. So does Spike. Well, he always looked dapper. I love how Big Mac has a black Stetson on him, which is awesome. And honestly, even though Sugar Belle's dress was very simplistic, she also looked really freaking cute in it.
So they do the whole thing. Do you take this mare to be your lawfully wedded bae? And then they're just like, do you take this colt to be your lawfully wedded dad bod? They're just like, I do. And then they're like, you may kiss the bride. And then
it's literally her saying, well, Now going on the second Apple family marriage I've officiated for.
That's
You
right.
may now the bride.
That needs to be a tradition where if Mary has kids, her kids need to like wed apple bloom in somebody or something.
Right.
So then Mother freaking Discord summons the apples, the possessed apples, to come down from the tree, and they sing "Happy Marriage, Happy." I forget how it went.
Happy marriage, happy apple.
No, I know it said "Happy Marriage, Happy Apple." I can't remember the melody. All I can think of is "Peace is Nice" from Enter the Florpus.
Happy marriage, happy apple.
Apples, happy marriage. It's not quite happy, happy, joy, joy, but it's up there. So that was hilarious, I thought. And then the episode ends, and then I was like, and then I remember that next week's the finale, and then I got sad. But this episode, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna give this one a 9. This might be the best episode I've seen this season. No, wait. What was the other episode I said that about?
I'll have to look back. I don't remember.
I know. Sorry, brother.
What's up?
The beef ribs are done. Do you want some?
I'll come get some.
Okay, sorry, bro. Peace out. Yo, bud.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So no, you were talking about how. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. I give this one. What do I want to rate it? 7.75. This is still a fun episode. And maybe it's just because I've been putting my expectations higher than usual because this is the final season. You know what? Since that's the case, I'll bump it to an 8.25. I thought this was a good episode. Like you said, a lot of stuff is so densely packed. A lot of the callbacks are great. The fact that Lyra and Bon are actually gonna.
That almost made me want to give it a 10. It's not a 10 episode, but it made me want to give it a 10.
I'll tell you this though. You were saying that they need to wed Apple Bloom or something. You know that her and the girls are just gonna be like, Cutie Mark Crusader lesbian lovers, yay!
No. Cutie Mark Crusaders polygamy, yay!
Oh man. So
they'll be like that. They'll be like BoJack's sister in BoJack Horseman, where she has 8 adoptive dads, all in a polygamous relationship.
So let me look up the synopsis for the final 3 episodes.
Okay.
Season 1. Okay. So next week is the final 3 episodes.
I'm just imagining the keyboards from Final Countdown playing, but it's all sad. So it's like dun 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 dun.
So we have the ending of the ends, part 1 and 2.
Yes.
Basically says that Villainous Alliance unleashes their power upon Equestria, and the main 6 face off against Equestria's most dangerous foes. We'll see how that goes. And then the last problem.
Yeah.
In the distant future, Princess Twilight Sparkle attempts to solve a student's friendship problem. And during that, she reminisces about her days when she was throughout her life, basically. Just like, fuck, You know that episode in total, I swear to God, that whole episode is just going to be punching you feel after feel after feel after feel after feel. I swear, I'm going to be sobbing.
I think
sobbing.
I think it's just going to be like one giant clip show.
And I'm going to be sobbing through.
I'm going to try very, very hard not to. I can tell you that.
It's one of those lay down, try not to cry a lot.
Cry a lot, yeah.
So, next week, prime time, which makes it all the crazier, too. It's getting the send-off it deserves.
Just 2 days after it originally aired 9 years ago.
I know. So, for anyone that wants to know how the recordings are gonna be, probably gonna do both recordings on Sunday, I'd like to say, and then I'll probably have the finale, the season finale on Sunday, and then the series finale on Monday. And then we'll probably take another week or 2 week break and do season 9 retrospective. And then we'll go back to our old reviews and start catching up on those.
Yeah. Yeah.
So until next week, where we'll be signing off for the final time while the episodes are new. That's it from me, John.
Me, Snakeskin.
And we'll talk to you guys later. Peace out, Dragon.
Adios.